This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kof Yud Tes Agut Moed, and once again, all the learning should be an incredible schos Rafua Shlema for Tinaik ben Miriam Ahuva B'siyata Dishmaya. We're holding in the bottom of Kof Yud Ches Amid Beis. We are 3 lines moving on to the second line from the bottom. We're in the middle of discussing B'nai Slavchad and exactly how many portions in Eretz Yisrael they inherited. And we discussed in yesterday's daf that the B'nai Menashe got 10 portions. There were 6 Batei Avos, and the question was, how did they get the other 4? So the Gemara originally wanted this to be a raya that it went by Yotzei Mitzrayim. The Gemara said, no, it can even be Baya Aretz. And we got into discussion that there were uncles, Slavchad's brothers, that the B'nai Slavchad were inheriting their portions. Says the Gemara, Laman Da'amar. So according to the opinion, Treachi Da'aba Havilu, according to the opinion that the B'nai Slavchad had 2 uncles that they inherited, Slavchad had 2 brothers. Home Achuza Nafka. That is learned out from Achuzas Nachala, that the extra word of Achuza teaches us that there was an extra piece that the B'nai Slavchad got. And that really, I should have done that in the previous year, I apologize. That concludes the B'nai Slavchad. Yesterday we began with 5 kashas, and here's a 6 that Rababa poses to Abaya. Kra Maika Chashiv. Says Rababa to Abaya when the pasuk says that the B'nai Menashe got 10 portions. What does the pasuk count? Eat Feilin Kachashiv Tuvavi. Ibati Avos Kachashiv Shitavi. Why 10? If we count children, there should be more. If we don't count children, there should be much less. Says the Gemara as we turn over to Kuf Yutes Amid Aleph. Answers the Gemara as we turn over to Kuf Yutes Amid Aleph. La'ilam Batei Avos Kachashiv. And therefore the question is, why is it not just 6? Explains the Gemara of Akamash Malan. They took the chelek of the bechar, meaning the double portion. Alma, Eretz Yisrael muchsek. We see Eretz Yisrael is considered muchsek. What does that mean? What that means is the din that we learned that a bechar only gets pishnayim, only gets a double portion, and that which is muchsek, that which was had by the father, not which is a roi, not that which is coming to him. So therefore, it says the Gemara from the fact that B'nai Slavch are getting the extra portion as if their father was alive, that means that their father actually is considered muchzik on that land. It must be that that is the reason why they get that portion. Says the Gemara, Mar 3 lines down. The end of the brayso, we ended off. Says the Gemara, the banim, this is going back to the misleinanim. This is going back to the miraglim, that they did not get a portion. Says the Gemara, vehabanim, and their children, notlu b'schus avi aviem b'schus avi ma'aseim, took from the schus of their grandparents. Asks the Gemara, vatanya b'schus atzman, loikasha kaman damar li'etzim mitzrayim kaman damar l'baya aretz. Each brisa is going according to each shita. When we said that they did not get according to their own nischos, but rather their grandparents, that's if it goes by Yotzei Mitzrayim. The price says they got their own, is going according to Bayei Haaretz. V'Bayisei Mahal, Bayei Haaretz, like Kasha, Hadavi Ben Esser, Hadavi Ben Esser. The difference will be, everyone could hold to come by Bayei Haaretz. It will be, were they 20 years old, therefore they're fitting, they're of age to get a nachla, or not. We continue with the 2 dots, about 12 lines down. V'Shaya Bechar Noitel Shnei Chalakim. Says the Gemara, the B'nai Slavcha took an extra portion. Why? Because the Bechar gets 2 portions. This really we just spoke about a moment ago, which we said it must be that it's considered muchsik. Asks the Gemara, Vamai, what is the reason? Ru'uyahu l'maisa. It's only Ru'uya v'ina Bechar noitel b'roi kiva muchsik. Amar Yehuda Shmuel b'yeseidais ha'oyalim. The B'nai Slavcha took the double portion in the stakes of Chefer's tents and other areas. Says the Gemara that they didn't actually get in the land, but no, their grandfather Chefer left over some movable metaltalin items, and that's what it means they got a double portion in that. Masiv Rabbo, Rav Yudar ben Islavchan, Alu Dal Chalakim Shenemar, V'yiblu Chavli Menashe Asara. So says the Gemara, from the fact that it says Chavli Menashe, that's a portion, it shows us that it's talking about that they actually got the land. Elamar Rabba, Eretz Muchsek, is he like we said, Eretz Yisrael is considered Muchsek, and that's how they got the double portion. Says the Gemara, Meisvei, ask the Gemara, Amar Rav Chitka Shimon HaShikmaini, Hayali Shimon HaShikmaini was a chavar mitalmidei Rabbi Akiva, was a colleague, a chavar from the Talmidim Rabbi Akiva, v'kachai Rabbi Shimon HaShikmuni Aimer, and such is what he said. Yodei Moshe Rabbeinu Shebnei Slavchad Yarsha Sein. Moshe Rabbeinu indeed knew that Bnei Slavchad got a chelek. So what was Moshe Rabbeinu's kasha? He did not know him. The shaila that Moshe Rabbeinu had was this shaila. Did they get a chelik of the Bechar? And really the entire parsha of Nachla should have been written via Moshe Rabbeinu. So why was it not? Rather B'nai Slavchad, because they came forth and they asked and they wanted and they desired. Therefore, they had this chos that the parsha was written on within their name. Similarly, Moshe Rabbeinu says this brisa, says Rav Shimon HaShikmuni told Rabbi Akiva, one of the Talmidim, that, Rav Chidka said that Shimon HaShikmuni was a Talmud Chaver. Rav Akiva said that really Moshe Rabbeinu knew that the Mekayshish Eitzim was Chayim Misa Shnemar Chalem Meisimas. Moshe didn't know which Misa. Really Moshe Rabbeinu should have had the Schos of the Parsha written in his name. Ella Shenes Chayim Mekayshish V'nechtav Al Yadai. But rather says the Gemara, you know what? The Mekayshish was Chayiv and therefore was written through him. Why? Lilamedcha, to teach us. Shemigalglin Schos L'Yidei Chayiv. Says the Gemara as we turn over to Kuf Testament Beis, you know why the Torah wrote to the parsha of the Mekayshish Eitzim, not via Moshe Rabbeinu, but rather via he who was Chayim Isa, to teach us this rule that one who is Zoicha gets the schos, v'chayva yidei chayiv. V'isa godaitach, that's the end of the Brisa. So now says the Gemara, V'isa godaitach, we're going to tell me Eretz Yisrael Muchzekis, Eretz Yisrael is considered Muchzek, and therefore the B'nai Slavchad receive a portion. What exactly was the kasha to Moshe Rabbeinu? It should be pasha that the Bnei Slavchad get double. Says the Gemara, what's your kasha? He gufa kamisafka. This was Moshe Rabbeinu's suffix. T'chseven asatem osadachem my rasha ani Hashem yushi ilachem me'avoisechem. Is it considered a Yerusha? Delmora perhaps a Marishin veinan yarshin, or maybe no. Or maybe is that they give over if they themselves do not inherit. So that was Moshe Rabbeinu's suffix, whether it is considered a muchzik or not. Upashalei Tervayu and Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu that both of these things are correct. Yerusha lachem avoisechem, that yes, the land is a Yerusha for those who left Mitzrayim. Umayrishin ve'inan yarshim. And as well it means that they're going to give over, but they're not going to inherit themselves. So says the Gemara, Moshe knew that the way to translate the pasuk, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him that the Bnei Slavchad got the double portion. What Hashem is teaching Moshe Rabbeinu is considered that it was a muchzik. It's as if they were Yaitzim Mitzrayim, and that is why they got this extra chilek in the Nachla. Says the Gemara, V'hainu d'chsev, another pasuk. Now we can understand. Now that we know what Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Tiveim v'siteinu bar nachlascha, you'll bring them and you'll implant them on Bahar in the mountain of Nachlascha, your heritage. Tiveinu loy nemar. The pasuk does not say you will bring us. Ela tiveimai, you'll bring them. What does this mean? Melami they teach Hashem misnavnim ve'inon yoidem ma misnavnim. What this pasuk means is that they said in Nevuah, they didn't know what they were saying. They unwillingly and unknowingly said that they themselves would not enter the land. This was those who said the Shira Alayam. They didn't know that they themselves, Lamaisa, were going to be of those that died in the Midbar. So when they spoke during Shira Sayam, and they said, Tivi'ei Moi, They were saying in Nevuah. They were saying that we ourselves aren't going to inherit, but our children will indeed. Says the Gemara, about 14 lines down, Vata'amayinma. The first word of the line is Vata'amayinma, quoting a pasuk in Bamidav Nei Moshe Nei Elazar HaKoyin, V'nei HaNesiim V'chol Eida, that the Bnei Slavchad came, and they stood for Moshe, Elazar, and all the elders. Asked the Gemara, Amdu Lefnei Moshe V'chulu, V'lo Amar Lehem Davar. Is it possible they went and they stood before Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe and Elazar did not answer them? V'amdu Lefnei HaNesiim V'chol Eida. And then they subsequently went before the leaders and the Kol Ha'ida. Meaning, if Moshe Rabbeinu didn't answer them, could it make sense? It's almost like you go to mommy, then you go to daddy, and then you go ask someone else. How could it be? Why would the Bnei Slavchad, after now receiving an answer from Moshe Rabbeinu, they subsequently went to the leaders, they went to the Bnei Ha'ida? What's going on over here? Ella, so explains the Gemara, Saras HaMeik Rabbi Darshehu. We have to cut up the pasuk. We have to darshan as following. Divrei Rabbi Yeshia. These are the words of Rabbi Yeshia. Abba Chanan Aimer Mishum Rav Lazar b'Beis HaMedrash HaYoshvin. Abba Chanan was sitting in the Beis Medrash and he said, Mishum Rav Eliezer, that what v'holchu v'amdu lehem lefnei kulam. That what? That really all of them were sitting together. Moshe Rabbeinu, Elazar, the Bnei Kol Eida. So yes, indeed, the Bnei Slavchad came and spoke to all of them. So what exactly is this machlaikas? How to learn the pasuk? Meaning, according to the first pshat, you cut up the pasuk and you learn it. What does that mean? That originally they went to the Bnei Eida. They didn't get an answer. Then they went to Elazar. They didn't get an answer. Then they went to Moshe Rabbeinu. Meaning the pasuk is backwards. According to Rabbi Yeshaya, according to Abba Chanan, Mishum Rav Elazar, no. They were all sitting there together, and the Bnei Slavchad went and spoke to all of them. So says the Gemara, B'maika Mifli, what exactly is Rabbi Yeshaya and Abba Chanan arguing about? Mar Savar, Abba Chanan holds, Cholkin Kavod L'Talmud B'makam Erhaf. We give Kavod to Talmud in front of the Rebbe. Omar Savar, whereas Rabbi Yeshaya holds, no, Ein Cholkin Kavod, Ein Cholkin, we don't give Kavod. So according to Abba Chanin, it makes sense to give kavod to the Talmud in front of his Rebbe. And therefore, why? Because that itself shows a kavod to the Rebbe. And therefore, the Bnei Slavchad spoke to all of them together. Whereas Rav Yeshia, the first sheet tells, no, there's no way. Ein cholkin kavod the Talmud makam Rav. If they're all standing together, you just go straight to the Rebbe. V'helchasa, what's the halacha? Cholkin, we indeed give kavod to the Talmud b'fnei Rabbi. V'elchasa ein cholkin. And another brisa says, "Elchas we don't." Says Gemara kasha elchasa. Like kasha, 3 lines to the white line. Says Gemara, it's not a kasha. Ha de poligle Rabbi Yakra. Ha de lo poligle Rabbi Yakra. The difference is whether when we say that you don't give kavod to the Rebbe, to the Talmud, is where the poligle Rabbi Yakra. Sometimes the Rebbe himself gives kavod to the Talmud. Then you're allowed to. When do we not? Is when the Rebbe himself did not give kavod to the Talmud. Then it's inappropriate to address the Talmud in front of the Rebbe. And therefore, rather, what do? We go straight to the Rebbe. Tana, we learned in a Bryce. B'nois Slavchad, the last in our line, Chachmani Yisheim, they were smart. Arshani Yisheim, they knew the Darshan. Sidkani Yisheim, and they were Sadiqas. The Gemara explains what were these 3 attributes. Chachmani Yisheim Shalfi Shah Dibroi. They were smart. Why? Because they spoke in a timely fashion. Dam Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak Malamed. Sheya Moshe Rabbeinu Yeshiv Darish Parshas bin Yivamin. Moshe Rabbeinu was learning Parshas Yibam Shenemar Ki Yoshu Achim Yachtav. And then Moshe Rabbeinu said that if there's no son, then and there's only a daughter, there's no Yibam. So Amrullah, the Bnei Slavcha said him Kebenanu Chashuvim. If you're telling us that b'makom she'ein ben, and there's only a daughter, there's no yibam. Why? Because the daughter takes the place of the family. So we should get a nachla. Imlav, and if not, tisyabe mimenu. And if not, then you should allow us to do yibam. Miyad v'yakei Moshe as mishpat l'vnei Hashem. Immediately Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem what the halacha is, whether Bnei Slavcha indeed get a portion. Darshani is saying why? Ben. Why? Because they came along to Moshe. They said if our father would have had a son, we wouldn't have spoken. I mean, they knew the halacha that if there was a son, he gets. Then they came with their taina. Tanya bas, says the Gemara. But we have a brayso that says, Abnei Slavcha said, if our father would have had a daughter, we would not have spoken. What does that mean? Amar Yirmiyah Sami Mikan Bas. No, erase that word. It doesn't mean Bas. It means Ben. Bayamar Afiloya Bas Leben Loi Dibarnu means that if the son had a daughter, Sidkani is saying why? Shlanisu Alulahagain Lahem. Why were they Sidkaniyais? Because they married only men who were fitting to them. Tana Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, 4 lines to the bottom of this. The youngest one only married someone no less than 40 years old. Why? They all waited to find the appropriate shidduchim. Says the Gemara, is this the right way of doing it? Excuse me. Someone who marries before the age of 20, Yoled is at Shishim. They can have children until 60. Bas Esrim, if they marry at the age of 20, Yoled will be able to have children at Arbaim. Bas Arbaim, if someone only gets married at 40, Shavini Yoledis, there's no children. So why are you telling me that they were so righteous that they waited for their appropriate husbands till age of 40? But it seems that's not the right thing to do. They had an incredible nace happen to them. That what happened by Yocheved? We know famously that he from the house of Levi went into the daughter of Levi. Amram married Yocheved, and we turn over to Daf Kov Chaf. Says the Gemara that what happened? What's going on over here? Is it possible that she's 130 years old and we're calling her the Bas Levi? That what's going on over here? Referring to Yocheved that was born as they were entering into Eretz Yisrael, that she was born in Egypt, but Vairasa Shaloi b'Mitzrayim. So says the Gemara. Truth is, okay. Let's go a job further. V'mai Karle Bas. So why does the Apostle call her the Bas Levi? Amar Yehuda bar Zvida melami shenoldo basimoni nairis. This teaches us that even though she was so old, she had the simanim of a young girl, and this adin abasar, her flesh became smooth and soft. She didn't have any more wrinkles, and she turned beautiful. So says the Gemara of Vayikach. So Amram famously takes Yocheved v'yachzer mi ba'alei. What do you mean Vayikach? She remarried her. We know he divorced her at the decree that Paro said he's going to kill all the children, and now he's convinced, so he remarries her after. What this means is, what does it mean? Vayikach. He did a maisa lekuchen. He made a whole wedding like the first marriage. Hoishiva ba'aperia, and he put her in the special chair. V'Aaron and Miriam, Misharon lefanea, and Aaron and Miriam, the 2 prior children, danced and were singing before her. Malachi shares Imrim comes on Malachi shares, and they say, Im habanim semecha, the famous pasuk, the mother of children rejoices, the mother Yocheved rejoices with her children Aaron and Miriam. What are they rejoicing? That of course Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be born to this union. We'll stop over here. That was the incredible marriage of the Bas Levi, of course, the impending birth of Moshe Rabbeinu. We'll pick it up for here, going back to the B'nai Slavchad B'siyata Dishmaya.